98.5. Good morning. This is 10 Points. My name is Bukola Omoshewo. How are you doing this morning? The program is all about discussing certain issues that affect you and I of national interest as citizens of this country. In the studio with me this morning, I have Kamri Idris Buko, a public policy analyst, a writer, and an advocate for good governance. Um, of good governance and sustainable development. Comrade, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, Hajia. Good morning, listeners all over the world. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking our call. And let's straight into the business of the day. Comrade Buko, this news as regards to the coalition of 19 parties backing against INEC, talking about the exorbitant nomination fees of political parties. How do you react to it?
Well, to start with, I think that is a very good development. The fact that we all know that the problem of democracy, not only in Nigeria but all over the world, has been the high or huge costs. I'm saying costs associated with it, starting from the pursuing, buying of the expression of interest up to the nomination forms and to many other costs that goes beyond even the form. The forms are just less than 50%, of the entire cost associated with running for election in Nigeria. So I read it, and sincerely, it is very laudable, and it is going to be a game changer in our democracy if that scales through. But on the other hand, the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees the political parties some level of autonomous or independence to manage their internal affairs. So I think the case before Justice Bintan Yako, is going to be a landmark judgment, and we keenly wait to see the outcome of the case. But if that scales through, I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of game changer. Is going to checkmate a lot of things. It is going to ensure that not only the bourgeois or the money bags that have their way in Nigerian political space, but then the essence of these nomination of interest, expression of interest and nomination forms in political party systems, especially in the ruling parties, is usually to checkmate entry. You understand? Like if you apply for some international scholarships or some programs abroad, you will be asked at the end of the day to pay application fee. The essence of that fee is just a regulation. It's a regulatory measure to checkmate the entry, so that everyone or everybody
Will not have the
will not
opportunity.
just because at the end of the day, such entry, you need to evaluate those entry independently. You need to look at all those things, and it comes with a lot of cost. Those that are going to check the forms to ensure that the writing is done, then you need external assessors, for example. And I think to some extent that is also applicable in the political space. However, like I said, it has both sides, and it's like a double-edged sword. On one hand, it is a very good one. It's going to checkmate the activities of money bag, where in most cases it is those that have the financial bag that have the day, to the detriment of well qualified people, which the coalition has cited is a very good one. But on the other hand, we have to be balanced. We have to look at the consequences also. If it is the entry is free, it's just like a public hall. You get my point. Public hall belongs to everybody. Anybody can come in at any time, go out at any time. Nobody can you get my point. So I think it's a double-edged sword, but largely I think if that is regulated, but sincerely, the cost of forms, looking at the last election, is too expensive. You understand? So, and they have an argument there, because if people sell their property, to get these things done. So definitely only few only few amongst them would, be there to face the business of the people, not their own business. So I think this is a very good one, and I commend and salute the initiators of this move, and then of course the coalitions that are also willing to join that move. But like I said, it's going to be an interesting outcome, and we are going to be keenly following the development to see what the Honorable Justice Binta Nyako has to say about this. But I can tell you, this is just the beginning, and I foresee this case going up to the appeal and ending at the Supreme Court. But in the whole of it, I pray that the people's will emerge victorious at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you so much. If you're just joining us, this is Point on 98.5 Emirate FM here in the Asian city of Ilori. In the studio with me is Comrade Idris Buko, and just joining us online is Malam Abdul Latif. Malam Abdul Latif Jaws is a media practitioner and is very right much live with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Malam Abdul Latif. We are calling from Kanu. Okay, Malam Abdul Latif. We discussing this morning coalition backs lawsuit against 19 embassy, 19 parties over exorbitant nomination fee. What is your reaction to it?
Thank you very much, madam. When you look at it, even from the onset, when you look at Nigerian democracy, the cost of our participation in election is a bit expensive. I won't even, it's even very expensive, not even a bit. Because when you look at it, it's a way of disenfranchising even people that really want to go into election. Take the case of even from the political parties themselves. You'll be so surprised that I think it was just about 2 days ago that the national chairman of APC, Professor Urata, spoke about it that about 100 million naira has been raised to purchase the form for
On
President
behalf.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Mhm.
To purchase the form for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to contest for next year presidential election. So you can imagine that, assuming somebody like you or me, we are all qualified, because as a Nigerian, we are all qualified, considering that we have we are within the threshold of, we are above the threshold of the age limit set, and all other parameters. We have all this as a qualification to contest for the seat of the presidency. But we're talking about 100 million. Is it easy to come by 100 million naira? So, and when you look at it from even from that perspective, go a bit down. Let's check the Senate. Let's check the governorship. Let's check the House of Representatives. Then you realize that what we are spending on this situation is so high that even for rightful people that can conveniently and comfortably serve this country, they can't do that
Of
because
course.
of the cost.
Of course.
So the cost itself has sort of disenfranchised a lot of people. Because if you look at, even there is no political parties today in Nigeria that the nomination form is in hundreds of thousands. No, they are all in millions. So how many people can afford that? Not to talk about even the amount of money to pursue the election itself. So you realize that we have systematically even disenfranchised some people from even contesting for certain offices in Nigeria.
Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Are you together with us?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Madam Giles, I want to say this. Considering that, like you have rightly pointed out, as regards to the exorbitant prices of political party forms to contest for elections, like you rightly said, presently the APC is charging 100 million naira for the presidency, and as much as 20 million for the post of of House of Representative, State House of
Exactly.
Assembly. The many have also argued in many pages that the reason why this money is meant is to assist the parties in funding and the money the campaigns the campaigns and all the necessary things to put together for a successful publicity and all of it. In addition, on another party have also argued that these exorbitant prices, at the end of the day, is one of the many reasons why we see political officers after getting positions go into mass corruption. Do you agree with that particular opinion?
I very much align with that because you see, there is no free food in Freetown. In Freetown, there's no free food. So for whoever is buying a form for about 20 million, 50 million to contest for an election, that is the nomination form. That is the expression of interest form. But by the time you do that, you now talk about even the money, the amount of money to prosecute the election.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, don't forget that the political parties don't really fund the campaigns.
Individuals.
Yes, the political parties don't really do that. It has to the honors of prosecuting the campaign mostly fall on the on the contestants.
Yes.
So the contestant of most situations look at it as if, okay, we are investing. Some politicians will tell you that, oh, I sold my house, I sold my family. Even some of them will tell you probably they sold their family property for them to be able to contest. So they now look at it from the perspective that since they've invested this much in the election, they have to reap. Because for whoever invests, you're expecting returns. That is why if by the time they even they win the election, the first thing you will first be hearing is we have to recoup all what you have invested. So they look at it as a sort of investment. Mind you, our situation becomes so sad in the sense that in the First Republic, if you can still go back into the 1960, 1966, in the First Republic, even I think it's some part of the Second Republic, it is the party that decides, not even the candidate, because the party members contribute money to become part of the party. The politicians, the party members, the political party members contribute money. So it's a situation whereby if each and every one of the party members, they have a say in the party. But the situation now that it's just a money bag that decide, for instance, the three major political parties we have in Nigeria, so to say, right now, that is, we're talking about the APC, we're talking about the PDP, that is in an epileptic situation, we talk about the ADC, that is coming up also as a major opposition party. These three political parties that we're talking about now, by the time they conduct primary election for the ADC, we will know who is in charge in the ADC. Because apart from that, whoever brings out his or her own money decides whatever happened in these political parties. It's not a situation whereby you can just say, look, this party belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to all. It belongs to people that are calling the shots.
Absolutely.
It's just like in the APC. Even in Kwara, we know who is in charge in the APC. Because, like, we'll talk about the APC rules of engagement. In every state, it is said that the state governor is
the leader. It's not only specific to the APC.
Office holder in the state is the leader of the political party. That is the APC. So in that situation, it is the leader of that political party, the leader of the APC, that calls the shots. Take the case of Kanu, for instance. When you talk about the APC, APC is synonymous to talking about Abdullah Umar Ganduje. But the faction in the APC in Kano now, we have the Barao Jibril faction, because Barao Jibril is the deputy senate president.
Yes.
Abdullah Umar Ganduje is the former president. Sorry, the former governor of the state.
Yes,
So the two of them call the shots in the party now, so to say.
That's
and in Kwara now, Rahman Abdullah called the shot in APC.
Absolutely.
Some other person, they fall in line. That is why you have a lot of bootlickers these days. Because we don't really have people that can challenge the authority. We don't even have people that can really advise them on the way to do things. Because look, they call the shot. But I think it is a situation whereby we contributed money all together and said, okay, we are forming these political parties. By the time we form these political parties, we will all have a say in it. But a politician that is going. Let's look at it, madam. Tell me who can contest for election in Nigeria today that does not have money. If you don't
Impossible.
have money, you must have a political godfather or a political godmother.
Who
So
will sponsor you?
Or a financier.
because
Yes.
without those situations, you can't have it done. Where is the money? We're talking about, for instance, take the case of Nigeria. If you want to contest for a presidency in Nigeria, hello.
We're
Hello.
with you.
We are with
Doctor.
you. We are here.
Yes, if you want to contest for presidency in Nigeria, what you need to look at is we're talking about 774 wards, sorry, local governments in
In the country.
the country.
And 8,809 political wards in Nigeria.
Thank you. 8,000. Then we're talking about almost about 171. Is it 170 something?
176,000 polling units thereabout. Yes.
So in this situation now, you now calculate out, and because in all the assuming that Abdul Latif Abubakar will just decide, I say, look, I want to contest for presidency next
They
year.
will support
Probably,
you.
I know you support me with prayers.
Definitely. Oh, you got it. You got it right. Okay, continue.
Because you now look at it, from each and every each and every polling unit,
Yes.
you must have what is it called? A party agent.
Yes.
The
Even
cost.
more than one. You need more than
You
one
must
party
have a
agent. Yes.
For your interest to be protected, we're talking about providing what is it called, agent for 170 something thousand political polling units
Polling
in
units.
the country. Assuming that I'm contesting for that, and okay, even assuming that I'm not aspiring that high now because probably I don't have much money. You talk about even from the House of Representatives. In the House of we have 3 senatorial zones in each state. 3 senatorial zones.
Okay.
We have 16 local governments in Kwara, right?
Yes.
With the 16 local governments in Kwara, the 16 local governments in Kwara is divided into it is divided by 3.
3.
Because each of the senatorial zones has about 5.
Minimum
Or
of
four,
4. Minimum
to
of
five.
4.
No, it all depends. Because you know why I say it all depends.
Yes.
If you take the case in Kano,
Yes.
we have 44 local governments.
Yes.
Then Kano Central has the highest local government. It has about 15 local governments thereabout. So the senator representing Kano Central has about 15 local government that is
That's true.
over.
That's true.
So if you look at the case of Kwara, we are just giving an hypothetical situation that about the 16 local governments. Assuming that the way it is structured, you have about a senator taking representing about 6 local governments. Or 5 local government, because we're talking about 3.
Yeah, 5 for
Five
us.
local
5 for us in the north, 4 in the central, and 7 in the southern central district.
Okay, 4 in the central.
Yes.
Kwara Central.
Yes.
So you now look at it. Even let's take it from the smaller aspect of it, from the Kwara Central.
Yeah.
4 local governments. If you are contesting in that situation, that means that you have to campaign in all the 4 local governments. You have to campaign in all the wards. Because you have to go around.
52 political wards in Kwara Central.
All the political wards, you have to go around to make people believe in the cause of what you want to do. Then you now look at what is it called on the election day.
Yes.
In this situation that we are talking about, you going around, we're
Yes.
talking about even the mobility. We're
Yes.
talking about even the posters, the electioneering campaign funding.
It's just like
So our election is a bit on the
you
high side.
Okay.
I
Thank you
think
so much.
That is the point of contention. Our election is so expensive. That is our kind of democracy is so expensive.
I think
Okay. Malam, I will definitely call you back, and once our guests in the studio to also make some contribution.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I think he has opened a lot of Pandora box, about the Nigerian electoral system that I think that time may not allow us to delve into. But since he has opened, the flip, let us go deeper. You see, the Nigerian electoral system, the political party system, is ineffective, sincerely, to drive the true yearnings and aspiration of the electorate in the present day Nigeria. Like he has said, the whole thing about starting from the political campaign, I mentioned earlier that the forms, whether the expression of interest or the nomination form, constitutes less than even 20% of the entire cost. He made a point, that particularly interests me, which is using the Kwara Central Senatorial District, for instance, having 4 local government areas, but where the problem is not even in the local government areas, because local governments are not equal in sizes. They are not, even the size is what matters now, not even the population. And it is easier for you to campaign as a politician. It is easier for you to walk and campaign in how do you call it, nucleated, populated areas, urbanized, where urban centers, where the populations are the density is very high. You understand? You can cover large number of people in it. But the problem, and here I'm going to use the Kwara North Senatorial District as an instance, that translates to additional greater cost than what we are talking about. If you look at the 5 local government areas in Kwara North, for instance, constituting about specifically 75.34% of Kwara's landmass, running into 25,969.6 square kilometers, walking around that area. This is where the issue the doctor raised come in terms of logistics. You look at if you are traveling from Ilorin here to Asa, what is the transport cost? You won't spend up to 3,000 naira. You won't even spend up to 2,000 naira from here to Asa. If you are traveling from here to Kayama, for example, the transport cost running to 10 or 11,000 naira. If you are traveling from here to Baruten, depending on the part of Baruten you are going. So, like he said, this translates to logistics. You need a car to move there. You need the fueling alone of all these things. So all these things come together, to make
what you're saying invariably is the reality is that
is highly capital intensive, in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. If you're just joining us, this is 98.5 Emirate FM at the voice of the people, and this morning on Standpoint, I have with me in the studio live and direct, I have Comrade Idris Bukola, and online I have Malam Abdullah Saif Joels, a media practitioner from Kano, speaking from Kano with holes as well. And we're looking at issues coming from the coalition backing lawsuits over the issue of exuberant nomination forms for parties members to participate in election. Closely related to that, Comrade Buko, is this one coming in? INEC 2027 budgets, Senate proposes additional 30 billion naira to 873 billion provision. The money, many a times people say, the money is not even the issue. At the end of the day, what is the result of all this money budgeted? This money put into judiciary's use? At the end of the day, do Nigerians have to say, yes, this money was well spent, and yes, thank you, INEC?
You see, madam, generally, Nigerian budget system is fraudulent, is ineffective, and does not translate to reality on ground. Each year, starting from the local governments across Nigeria to the state government and even to the federal government, and now even to the MDAs, ministerial, departmental, and agencies of the federal government budget. If you scrutinize these budgets one after the other, I'm sorry to say, but the appropriate word to use, it's amount to nonsense, largely. Now, budget is being passed. If you take your time to peruse any budget of previous year and for this year of any MDA, whether at the state or the federal or the local government, you see a lot of abnormalities. You understand? We keep making budget for the same thing every year. It has become, in Nigeria, the budget system has become like a culture. You understand? This year, let's also use ourselves as an instance. If your salary per annum, your basic salary per annum is 2 million naira, for example, or 3 million naira, you have a lineup activities of expenditure on how you are going to spend this thing. If you have a shoe, if you have 2 pairs of shoe, this year you bought 2 pairs of shoe, and you bought a new car this year for the same purpose, it will be very impossible or rare for you to budget for the same thing in the next year. Is that correct? Because you would have, this year budget would have taken care of this logistics, and the logistics, except of course in the case of accident, the logistic will not expire within that very year. So it is expected that that logistics or whatever item in the budget will take you to the next or 2 years before you what budget for such things again. But unfortunately, if you study the budgets, you see that it's the same thing. In fact, nobody in reality, people or even
It's only
this
the money that is
FDAs,
increasing.
it's just that they look at the previous budgets, they'll just increase it based on the inflation rate now, and a lot of corruption keeps going on. Now coming to the INEC budget. In the last election, we had a 314
Billion.
over 314, less than 350 billion naira, and here,
We're talking about 3 years back.
yes, 3 years back, I think where the exchange rate was still reasonable, and now we are having more than 100%, almost 200% of
By the
budgetary
time this
allocation,
30
because
billion
if
is
30
added-
billion is added, we are talking about 3 times
Yeah.
the size of the previous budget. Now, what justification do we have for this? What was the first thing that comes to mind is perhaps there are the printing of ballot, which is usually done overseas. Then the exchange rate factor would come here, inflation and other things. So if you look at that, notwithstanding that the exchange rate as at then, I know it was 750 naira that we exchanged dollar then, but now dollar is around 1,300.
1,004.
It's not, it has even come down below one, even at the black market. So 1,300 and something. So it is still too, that is more than 100, less than 100%. Then where is this coming from? Where we are budgeting almost 1 trillion naira for the same election that, I'm sorry, may not, you understand, cross the threshold of credible, fair, transparent,
Election.
an acceptable election to Nigerians. So where is this coming from? So this comes to tell you that there are a lot of abnormalities, not only limited to the INEC budget, but it's a general culture, and that is why our audit system, the office of the Auditor General of the Federation, needs to be independently empowered, as well as other auditory systems we have at the state and local government areas to very effectively do this work. And the challenge I've had over previous research and interactions with auditors is poor funding. Many auditing
Mr. Latif
systems
is on here now.
All right.
Yes. Mr. Malam Abdul Latif, you prefer to be used Malam, just like our governor here. Malam Abdul Latif, you're welcome back. You're welcome back. Yes, we have INEC 2027 budget. Senate proposes additional 30 billion naira to 873 billion provision earlier on made. How will you react to this news? Do you think it's appropriate, and how much expectation will Nigerians will be waiting for, like in the areas of credible and of course a reliable election exercise without much inch? Of course, there's going to be itches, but maybe perhaps they're going to manage it better than we had 3 years back.
Thank you very much, madam. If we look at it, INEC proposes over 873 billion naira to conduct 2027 election. Over 873 billion naira to conduct 2027 election. This election is expected to take place in
between February and March.
6,846 polling units across the country.
Yes.
So when you look at the fund, when you look at the amount, initially when we were previously discussing, I told you, I said our democracy is too expensive. Our electioneering campaign is very, very on the high side. If you look at the cost of conducting election in Nigeria, you realize that it doesn't make sense for us to have a shamble election or a sham of an election, a situation whereby people are not comfortable with the results. Because does that mean that this whole huge amount of money is going in vain? Meanwhile, the Senate at the same time is saying, look, the 273 billion that you people are asking for, you need additional 30 billion to be able to successfully conduct this election. When you look at the breakdown of the cost, you realize that if you look at, we discussed, we said 176 1,000
thousand
polling
polling
units.
units. Yeah.
Each polling unit, oh, let us understand, each polling unit, you have a polling clerk, you have a presiding
Presiding
clerk,
officer.
I think about 2 or 3 staff
Yes.
in each of the polling units.
Yeah.
That is, and we
I
mostly
presume there
make
were
use of
four.
we
Four.
mostly make use of 4 members
Yeah.
NYC, because if you look at the breakdown, to me it is not high side on the condition that can we really deliver successful election that will be acceptable to the people. If we're able to do that, because at times you look at the cost in which you're putting in a certain venture, if at the end of the day you have a satisfaction in what you're doing, you won't even look at the cost much at times. Because so long as, okay, the cost, the amount of money spent on it is justifiable.
Justified by the outcome.
Because if you look at the breakdown given by the INEC chairman during the sitting, because incidentally, I followed up the sitting when the public hearing for the defense of the budget, it was televised live, because the proposal, the election operation cost account for over 375 billion. Hello?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Go
Where would
on,
you, Doctor?
Malam.
That is the cost. Then when we now look at even the election administrative cost, stand at over 92 billion. Election administrative cost. Because in the election administrative cost that we're talking about even their logistics. So the logistics, unfortunately, INEC does not have enough vehicles to go around. They mostly collaborate with road transport workers and NURTW.
And in some cases, the defense companies for helicopters where need be and other things.
And that is even if you're talking about going to even the riverine
Riverine communities, yeah.
the riverine areas and what have you. Because really, incidentally, I've been covering elections. I've been participating in Nigerian elections since 1983.
Wow.
As of 1983, thereabout, I was a party agent
Interesting.
in 1983. So you can imagine from that moment, then covering Nigerian elections since 1999. I've been covering the election and I've been sleeping at INEC headquarters.
Well
Interesting.
done.
Interesting.
Yes, because well, especially when we have presidential election, because the result comes in mostly in the night.
Yes.
So we have to, and at that period we don't have an IREV. So everything is done manually. So from that moment, so I understand when I'm saying look at the costing. The costing is not on the high side if it is justifiable.
At the end of the day.
And how can it be justifiable for us to have an election that will be accepted? For instance, if we have an election of 2015, despite the fact that President Goodluck Jonathan did not challenge it, a lot of people believe that it was what we voted for that we had in 2015. If you look at the election in 1993,
it was adjudged the best.
Bashir Tofa's election.
Yes.
MK Abiola and Bashir Tofa's election. Despite the fact that the election was nullified, a lot of people believe that
it was the best we've had so far.
The outcome of the election was what people really voted for.
Yeah.
So in that situation, if you look at what we are expending now, with the cost of operations and what have you, because the INEC chairman during the session said approximately they were going to engage about 450,000 core members. About 450,000 core members are expected to be deployed to all these
polling units.
So each of the 450,000 core members, they're expected to be paid about 127,000 naira each.
Approximately. On the average, yes.
Paid about 127,000 naira each. And in the course of that, alongside, they will be paid 4,500 for feeding and 5,000 for training over 5 days because they have to be trained. So when you now look at all these costs, we're not talking about even the production of the ballot papers themselves. We're not talking about the production of the election materials.
The movements, logistics.
The logistics. We are not even talking about the materials now, because for you as an even for observers, not talk about for people that are in the election, for observers, not talk about even INEC staff. You are supposed to be given what is it called? Election materials, speakers. I, as a journalist, definitely on most during elections, we get stickers for our vehicles, we get identity cards, we get what is it called? In some instances, we get cap
Yeah.
and
And
the bags,
jackets, even jackets.
the jacket. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So when you look at all this scenario of the costing, our election is too expensive. Because if you
Definitely.
compare it to other developed climes, when you compare it to election in the US, we should have outgrown an election whereby everybody will have to be at the polling unit. We should have been talking about an election whereby you can
Technology.
vote
Vote
from your
online.
house. We should have been talking about election whereby you can vote from your house. We should have been talking about election
You can
whereby
vote from your office
other Nigerians can vote from other parts of the country.
without moving around.
You without even do you realize that on election day the movement restriction is an economic waste.
It is.
The movement restriction, because there are some people whereby if they don't come out on a daily basis, they're not even able to make ends meet
That's true.
with the way they conduct their business transactions. So when you now look at our election with all this scenario, not to talk about the corruption aspect also at the same time, because you can't rule out that.
I think
The
that's the.
situation we find ourselves in Nigeria.
Yeah.
As of this moment that we're discussing, it was just only yesterday that the former managing director of Nigerian Railway Corporation that just stepped aside was arraigned before a court in Lagos. So on most occasions, by the time you look at you audit most of our leaders, you find out that they're mostly wanting. So
Indeed.
in this cost, you can't rule out cost of corruption at the same time.
Definitely.
Factor corruption into it.
Definitely, and I think that is the
I think
that is the
I think
that is
the
the
area of
problem we
concentration
have.
with Nigerians.
Yeah,
Oh, at the end of the day, we're going to hear someone
You know
that's
why I
taking
said we have
something.
to factor in corruption?
of
Do
course.
you know that the IREV that we make use of in 2023, the IREV is supposed to be putting up results real time.
Yes.
Real time. That was why in 2023, before the election, a lot of people were happy that with the quantum of amount of money that we have invested
Went
in
into the
technology,
election.
with the level of money that we have invested in technology, a lot of people believe that, okay, look, 2023 election, you can, for instance, if you look at the off-season elections, the off-season election that took place in some of the states like Osun State,
Edo.
Ekiti State, Ondo State, and Co. Immediately the election is on, immediately the election closes in the day. From your phone, you can be monitoring how the results are trickling in.
Yeah.
We had it in Abuja just over the weekend on Saturday, whereby you can say, okay, with the level of result that they've gotten now, Mr. A is
leading.
Is coasting to victory, and what have you. That is what we're
Okay.
expecting from the IRF. So with what is expended technology and what will be expended on technology, so you look at it that the cost is so high, but let us have justification for it.
To whom much is given.
Much
Yes,
is
to whom much
expected.
is given, much is expected.
And
And
Okay.
what is the justification, madam? What is the justification? Let's have an election. Let's have an election. That people will look at it and say, look, we should have a situation whereby if you lose an election, you should be able to congratulate the winner.
Of course.
If you realize that, look, this election is
Very free, fair, and
transparent.
credible. Yeah.
It was just like what I normally tell, because I'm a media trainer also. What I tell most of our colleagues that we train, I said it just reminds me of when we're in the school. In the university, you know those that you are in the same level in terms of knowledge.
Definitely.
You know those that are above you in terms of knowledge.
That is self-evaluation,
And you know-
self-appraiser.
And you know- sorry.
That's self-evaluation.
Exactly, and you know those that are below you.
Of course.
So in a situation whereby you lose an election, and it is transparent, believe you me, madam, you won't have cause to say, look, I have to go and challenge this election.
That's true.
Okay, thank you so much, Malam Latif, just calling all the way from Kano. Thank you for taking our call this morning. Thank you so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it coming from your hand. And, if you're just joining us, that's 8 points on Emirate FM 98.5. The voice of the people. And this morning we're looking at issues that are related to the coming election in 2027. Remember, as patriotic Nigerians, Nigerians, do go for your PVC. It's very, 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 very
Important.
important, please. You must participate as a very, very patriotic and responsible Nigeria if you are up to the age of the voting. Okay, now in the studio with me, I have Comrade Idris Buko with me, and he is a public analyst. He's also a politician. Let me quickly add that too. So maybe okay. So of course, that is why you are getting some first-hand information coming from him, and that is when we talk about politics. It is not just about the politicians. It's just about you and I, because we are actual participants in public affairs. Yes, you and I are citizens that are supposed to participate in public affairs. The studio lines are open. You can join us in the studio. You can join us in the studio on 07056902827. 070 90 0 sorry, please let me take it again. 07056902827, 09031917355, 09031917355. Yes, comrade, do you have anything to add to that particular submission from Malam Jos before we go on to the other
Yes,
news?
I think we are all on the same page, and then he added something which I emphasized earlier on, which is the audit system. Now, a question arises: if last year we budgeted over 300 and something billion naira, I don't know if you get my point.
Okay.
I think the thing is, in reality, that's why I say that our budget are fictitious. You understand?
Okay.
They are fictional. They are not real. Budget line supposed to be reducing, because if this year, okay, if INEC needs 100 vehicles, and in this year's budget they acquire 30 out of those 100 budgets, 100 needed, what will happen in the next year? Another budget will make provision for what, maybe 40, and then maybe in a 3-year span, the issue of logistics or in that aspect or problem identified should have been what, dealt with completely, and should not reflect in the coming other budget. But that has not been the case. That's why I said our budget are usually compared from the past previous years. The same thing is usually constant. The only variable in our budget is usually the amount. They usually make it to reflect maybe the inflation and other things. So it is not portraying us, to be a serious people. And of course, the most important factor or significant factor that he identified, which is the cost of corruption. You understand? Perhaps that is responsible for this. And to make our electoral system or our democracy reasonably, I won't say cheap, but reasonable or in consonance with the reality of the people and our economy, we need to review our budgetary systems, our allocation system, and this can only be addressed by having an efficient, effective auditing system across board, so as to eliminate these abnormalities.
Okay, thank you so much, Comrade Book. I want us to listen to this quickly. Our time is not. Our time is running.
Legislative emergency. Close the house. Shut it up. Who are you legislating for? What laws are you making when the country is running in blood? The country is running in blood and tears. You cannot go. The farmers cannot go to farm. Our market, our traders cannot go to market. Worshippers cannot go to mosque. Cannot go to churches. Then what are you legislating here, Mr. Speaker? If the government is not prepared to actually do the right thing that will protect the lives and property of our people, I urge on you, I urge on this honorable house, as a house of the people of Nigeria, to stand up to pay the supreme cost. And that is no more than to shut this house down and to call emergency on any legislative issue and wait until the right thing is taken by the government of the day. Mr. Speaker, I also want to believe we are equally responsible. We should also go down to our constituencies. Civil, what do you call them? Civil vigilante. Let's go and reorganize our vigilante groups. We take commands and take charges of such civil organizations to see how we can salvage and protect our country, Nigeria.
I'm coming, please. I want us to listen to it from the very beginning again.
We can even declare legislative emergency. Close the house. Shut it up. Who are you legislating for? What laws are you making when the country is running in blood?
And that is the voice
Voice of
of
Honorable
Honorable
Alas,
Representative Dokowa.
yeah,
He's
Alas and
yes, it's
Dogwa,
sad. Yes, he's urging the
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 National
National Assembly.
Assembly.
As bad as the situation is, you can't but just smile over some things when you hear them. That the National Assembly if they cannot find a lasting solution to security. It might sound a little bit absurd,
It's
but
not.
in your own opinion, how do you feel to this kind of pronouncement
No,
coming
actually,
from a member of the Federal House of
well,
Representatives?
first and foremost, I want to commend Honorable Alassane Dogwa. He has exemplified patriotism, and he has, portrayed himself to be an epitome of responsiveness. Because all that he raised there in that submission on the floor of the House is nothing but the truth and the reality. As we speak today, starting from here in Kwara State, over 176 or 176 people from
So
the
missing.
recent war attack are
And
still
more,
in
an
the
addition
dens.
with some recent kidnapping and killing
No,
the
that's
last
that.
4 weeks.
Yes, I'm just restricting myself to that because that is the most prominent
No,
in terms of the largeness,
the largeness.
of that kidnap. As we speak today, madam, they are still in the dens of the kidnapper. Yesterday, I saw a video of two ladies, two women, in the Sokoto Zamfara axis who were kidnapped. One of them is a student. She was traveling from Zamfara to Sokoto or Kaduna to Sokoto to resume to school when she fell into the hands of these
bandits.
unscrupulous elements. Now, if we start naming it, if we start mentioning it, the list goes on and on. Not only here in Kwara State, but I can tell you in the entire northern region is the epicenter of terrorism, kidnapping, and banditry now. To what extent has the government responded
There's a story
or
coming
taking
from
action?
Zamfara. Comrade, let me quickly
Yeah.
come in there.
Okay.
From Zamfara this morning, where these bandits went, to how will I put it now? They waited for Muslim faithfuls who were just going to break their fast, and at that the point in which they wanted to break the fast, that was when they were adopted and killed. That is coming from Zamfara, and very close to that is Plateau, where there's a case where they actually went onto the highway and they stopped vehicles and were slaughtering people's bodies. The pictures are there in the news.
Yes.
And when you see a member of the House of Rep coming out like this to speak out, I think they are naturally overwhelmed.
Yes.
At the begin, they are getting the embarrassment is coming so much, and I think they are really feeling the heat. Talking
is.
about this problem.
It is.
How much are we going to take, and then what is the way forward in all of this?
I have always, how much we are going to take, we are taking too much already. So that's the one side. Then on the way forward, I've always insisted that what we need to do is a multidimensional, comprehensive or holistic policy approach. The kinetic approaches whereby when bandits attack or they kidnap, we mobilize resources in terms of battalions of soldiers and then airstrikes and other things. I'm telling you, if you observe, you see that we've still been rigmaroling on the same spot over time. It's still the same thing. We are still being in circles. We need to go back to the drawing board. And when I talk about the drawing board, it means we need to review comprehensively at multi-tier and governmental level and various strategic levels to go back to the drawing board to checkmate our policies. The government policies is what that will address this comprehensively. And I've mentioned earlier that beyond it has to do with poor infrastructures in the rural areas, it has to do with poor grassroots governance, it has to do with ineffective judicial system, it has to do with the landmass which we've discussed here, uncounted times, it has to do with international borders and many other factors. So we need to wake up. But I can tell you that we are still sleeping, we are still in deep slumber. We need to wake up to look into these things, to surgically dissect these things on the table, and then come up with comprehensive policy frameworks that address each of these things, and then complemented with what? Kinetic, readily available and responsive force to deal with the emergencies. That is the way forward.
Thank you so much. If you're
Thank you.
just joining us, this is 98.5 Emirate FM, the voice of the people. In the studio this morning, I have the pleasure of having Honorable Comrade Idris Buko right in the studio with me. I also had the opportunity of speaking online with Malam Abdulatif Jones. A journalist, a media practitioner, is also a publisher as well. And of course, we must say very big thank you. In fact, you have a shout out all the way from Portugal here, and the saying I should say big thank you to the both of you for a very well in-depth analysis
Okay,
this
thank you.
morning. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
taking our call. But before we go, Comrade Biko, I
Yeah.
want you to add one or two things to our people because the truth is, whether we like it or not, the problem of insecurity stays right in our faces, and whether we like it or not, directly or indirectly, many a times our people participate even without knowing into this surge that
Yeah.
has become a very big eyesore to our problem.
You see, we have always said here that if you see something, you say something. Well, the citizens have been doing a lot in that, providing intelligence and information to the appropriate authorities to take action. But beyond that, also, we have to be vigilant. The vigilance does not end at reporting alone. We should not allow anything that constitute threats in our various communities. If we are able to handle that very well, it will extend from the neighborhood to the community to the ward to the local government, and then we'll be able to come up, forge an effective front to combat the act of how do you call it, insecurity in our dear country. But then I still call on the government. The government needs to go back to the drawing board. We need to check our policies. I'm emphasizing on these policies. There are a lot of things that needs to be looked into, and then the judicial system, well, it also falls within the policy frameworks so as to come up with a robust approach to combat insecurity in our dear country, Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much. And that is the word. God bless Nigeria. Remember, you and I are citizens of this country and we are all stakeholders to make Nigeria a better society. Like I said earlier, go for your PVC because you have to pass it to space as responsible citizens of this country in the choice of your leaders. In addition, remember, when you see something, say something. Be your brother's keeper. And this is the message from all of us here at Emirate FM 98.5. My name is Bukola Omoshewo. Join me tomorrow for a fresh package of this program. Good morning.